Hi, and welcome back to the Intro to BioCyc webinar series. I'm Alexander Shearer from SRI's Bioinformatics Research Group, and since we've had an overview of how the BioCyc site looks and where the basic tools are, now we're going to focus a little bit on how to search and find what you want on BioCyc. So we've added a whole new, more intuitive and more powerful array of search features in the new BioCyc, and since they're different from what you're used to, I'd like you to listen while I go through them one by one. We now have three layers of searching. We have the basic or quick search, then we have the intermediate object-specific searches, and the advanced structured query page. All the searches that we query operate on your current selected organism. So let's take a moment to look at actually how you select an organism. Up here, by the quick search, it tells us that we're on E. coli K12 and we have the option to change. Let's click on that change. This is the Organism Selection menu. It's actually a database selection menu, of course, because you can choose MetaCyc, which is a multi-organism database. Here we have a full list of organisms to choose from, the full Tier 1, 2, and 3 collection. We have popular databases, E. coli, K12, and MetaCyc, and we have recent databases. So let's say that perhaps we were interested in Aeromonas. Now, I could just click on Aeromonas here, but if I know I'm interested in something and I don't want to scroll down through the list, I can actually just start typing it. And now it's narrowed it down to the things that match what I started to type. I can actually just click down arrow. There, I've chosen Aeromonas. I can hit OK. And now you'll see that I'm all set to search in Aeromonas. I've switched my organism. Let's switch back. Okay, we're back to E. coli K12. Now remember, you can always change your organism up here, and remember, when you change your organism, it won't necessarily change the page you're on. So you might confuse yourself every so often by being on one organism, changing it up here, running the search. It's just something to look out for. Okay, let's start with the quick search. So the quick search is just this box up here where you can type in whatever word and the database will search against a number of objects. So let's go with threonine, and of course it's trying to offer me suggestions for things that I've searched for recently. But I'll just do threonine and hit enter. Okay, this is what a quick search result looks like. We have a number of links to objects within the database separated into categories. In this case, pathways, we have 9, proteins, 24 hits, gene ontology terms, 17 hits, 10 compounds, and 9 reactions. And you can click through on any one of these to get to the page that it's describing. For example, I could say, oh, of course, I was looking for threonine deaminase. So let's click on that. I clicked on the threonine deaminase and it took me to the page for that enzyme. Great. Okay, so that's the quick search. Very straightforward. You type in a word, hit enter, get a list of stuff that matches that word. But what if we want a little bit more detail? Then we want to go to the intermediate search. So for that, we go to the search menu here, and we have our choice of compounds, genes, proteins, RNAs, reactions, and pathways. And then down below we have the advanced search and Texpresso and BLAST, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Let's start by looking at compound searches. This is what the compound search page looks like. Now we have a couple of options on every single one of these search pages. You can just search by name, or you can search or filter by other features. Let's start by typing in a name. Let's say we're going to stick with threonine, and we start typing, and you notice the autocomplete is kicking in again. So for example, I can say, oh, of course, I meant L-threonine. Enter. And now it's selected L-threonine for me, and if I hit return, it would take me through to that compound page. Now, instead, say I want just things relating to threonine in general. I'll hit threonine there, but then I'll just, click out here. I'm not going to let it autocomplete for me, and I'll submit the query. Now instead of taking me to one compound page, instead it takes me to this chart, and this is every compound that has threonine in the name. And it gives me the compound name, the chemical formula, and the molecular weight. And you'll notice it's a sortable chart, so we can see that, for example, not surprisingly, these different structural isomers of threonine all have the same molecular weight. This can be useful when you're looking at a much larger, broader set of results. Perhaps you were checking by a small part of a name in a compound that has a lot of different modified versions. Let's go back and look at that search menu again. You can turn off a category by closing it like that, and you can turn it on by opening it. Of course, you're still going to have to pick something when you turn it on or turn it off. Here I've opened our chemical ontology, so it's searching within this hierarchy, so you can say, I know I'm looking for a steroid, but I don't know more than that. Let's not do that right now. Instead, let's try searching by molecular weight. So we can actually tell it to pick a molecular weight between 10 and 100 Daltons in this case. And then we can submit that query. And this gives us another table, another sortable table, of course within the range of molecular weights that we were looking for. Pretty straightforward. And you can stack these together to get more complex searches. The search will return all the results that match all of your requirements. So for example, I could have searched for compounds with the name threonine somewhere in there between 10 and 100 Daltons. And I actually wouldn't have found anything because if you remember from before, all of them were over 100 Daltons. But that's basically how the search works. Let's go back and look at that one more time. Down at the bottom we have a couple more options. We can search by chemical formula. We can search by inchy string. This is a text-based description of a chemical compound that can let you search by certain subunit components. Okay, so that's the compound search. Let's move on down the search menu.